So hi guys, welcome and welcome back to my channel. I hope you have been learning a thing or two about smart money moves. And so before we start talking about investments or the kind of investments that you can take based on the money that you have, I wanted us to understand our money personalities. And this is important because your money personality will determine your level of risk, the kind of risk that you're willing to take. And we all know investments is all about risk and return. Okay? And just as a form of disclaimer, there is no personality that is better than the other. The only reason why we are taking up this class or this session is just to understand how you as an individual and your kind of personality determines how you invest or how you save or basically how you handle your finances. And we all of us want to succeed, right? So we want to see based on your different personalities, how can you use or what tactics can you use so that you end up succeeding in terms of your personal finances, right? So I'll just get straight into it. The number one category of people is the compulsive savers. These are people who, no matter any shilling that you get, you just want to save it. And this usually stems from a scarcity mindset. And I don't blame those people who are like that. Mostly because you probably got this from growing up. Maybe you grew up in a family where there wasn't a lot of money around. And so you're always afraid that whatever you have will end. So, and then you're now perpetually stressed because when you do not have money, you're worried about having money. When you have money, you're worried that it will finish. And so, this category of people, one thing that can set you up for success is to remember money.
Money will come. It's just cash.
Yes.
And I promise this house, this money will be released.
Comes and goes. Okay? Money will always come and go. So, what you need to do is to come up with a moderation, like live life in moderation. Because one thing that's for sure is you can never, ever, ever save yourself into wealth. The people who have wealth are not the people who save, but the people who invest. But remember, we said at any given point, you should make sure that you have savings that will last you for at least 6 months. Should anything bad happen to you, or should you be in a position where you're no longer able to generate money regularly like you are right now? So, for a compulsive saver, what I would recommend is this. Remember our budgeting? Make sure that you do have a budget because when you have a budget, you'll actually realize you can spend on other things and your money will still not run out. You cannot be saving everything that you have. And then you're walking around, for example, with a dress that does not look really nice, not because you do not have money, because you're afraid if you buy that dress, then your money will run out. So budgeting is really important, not because it is supposed to, make your life miserable or make you lose out, but because it will actually make you realize you get this money so that you can live a good and comfortable life. Okay? So for the compulsive savers, I want you to remember the money will always come and go. Do not live in fear. You need to adopt a mindset of abundance and not scarcity. Compulsive spenders. These are people who mix emotions and money. And I can tell you for a fact, if you do that, you're going to be in big trouble. Why? Because these are the people who will spend money. They don't care whether it was borrowed. They don't care whether they ran into debt. Why? Because they're probably going to get the gratification of someone calling them, chairman or boss babe. The problem with being a compulsive spender is when a rainy day comes, and it will come because it does come, then you will have no money. And I can promise you, those people who've been calling you Mr. Chairman, they'll be nowhere to be seen. And you will suffer, my friend. You will suffer. So, if you're this kind of person, what I would recommend is automating your investments or your savings. This will involve things such as taking a standing order. When you have a standing order, as much as it comes at a charge, it is automatic. Like before you get to spend your money, you already have saved. Like if you have a standing order for 5,000, that will automatically take your money into a money market, for example, or another 5K to go into savings, another 5K to go into an emergency fund, such that in the event, because you see, a personality is not something that you wake up and just decide to change. It takes a lot of work. So in the event you still need to spend, you will spend what is left after you've already paid yourself. Because remember, we said the number one most important thing that you should do whenever you get your money is to pay yourself. All right. So for the compulsive spenders, just automate. Let technology work for you. You do not have to, because most of these spenders, they do lack discipline. So if you know you do not have the discipline to, once you're paid, take this money, put it here, then automate that process for you. All right. Category number 3 of people is the
I'd rather be crying in a Bentley, sipping on Hennessy, drying on my tears with some $100 bills. Feeling down in Fendi's, but I got plenty money for the pay.
This is the kind of person who will not let anyone or anything come between them and their bag. And well, as much as it is a good strategy, because at the end of the day, we all need money to live a good quality of life. You need money for good education. You need money for proper healthcare. As much as they are trying to make money, the only problem with this kind of people is one: they will tend to compromise on their morals and even on their relationships. For example, if you're a man of the house, your children probably never get to see you. Why? Because you're always out here looking for money. But you see, at the end of the day, even if they have this money and they can't see you, you still end up losing on very beautiful, relationships. So for these people, what I would like for them to adapt is a changing mindset. Look at money as a means to an end and not the end. Because, like we said, you need this money to have proper healthcare, right? So it is a means to an end. But if you're a compulsive money maker, which means you don't take breaks, so you're sick, it means at the end of the day, this money that you're getting now, you're using it for hospital bills, for example. You have the money and then your family falls apart. How then does this money benefit you? Okay. So there is nothing wrong with wanting to make a lot of money, but you need to, set yourself aside. Realize money is a means to an end and it is not necessarily the end. Okay. Then there's this category of people who are indifferent. Then they don't care. Whether they have money or they don't, they are happy. Well, I low key admire that kind of lifestyle because these are people who will, they'll rarely ever be stressed. The only disadvantage of this is at a later time, when, say, you've retired, you'll realize you probably didn't have money because it fell through the cracks. You didn't even realize your money falling through the cracks. So, for this category of people, what would work most for them is to budget, right? And it is good that money really does not determine your state of mind. But it is also really nice for you to set aside money. Like I said, a rainy day will always come. Retirement will come. And if, for example, right now, when you're still earning, you end up being broke, then imagine when you do not have a constant source of income. It's going to be bad for you, all right? So remember to always put aside a budget. If you think you're not as disciplined as you would like to, then automate those processes for you so that you don't need to worry, oh, I got my money, so I need to pay ABC, I need to do one, two, three, automate these systems. And then the last category of people that I'd like to talk about is the gamblers. These are the people who the risk appetite is so high, such that they don't care. So long as they hear an opportunity to make money, they will just jump right into it. The only problem with this is you may end up losing all your money. And remember, we said you need to strike a balance between saving and investing. You need savings so that they will save you when a rainy day comes, and you need investments for wealth creation. But when you're a gambler, chances are you're likely to lose your money, and at the end of the day, you're not going to have any wealth because you see, a gamble is something that you have not really, researched well. For this category of people, is just you need to determine how much you're willing to lose at any given point. Because at the end of the day, you can't afford to lose everything that you have, right? So you need to sit aside, determine, for example, the maximum amount that I'm willing to lose without that will not dent my way of life is, for example, 100K. And this way, you're able to strike a balance even as you're working, on your change of mentality or change of your money personality so that it works best for you. All right. This is just, there are many other personalities that are there, but I just wanted to highlight this because these are the most prevalent ones, and they're the ones that are likely to affect how you will spend or how you invest and how you save. So even before we get into the savings and investments strategies, you need to understand your personality and start working towards what will work for you. Because, for example, if you're a compulsive or you're a gambler, for example, you know your risk appetite is high, then that will determine the kind of investments that you go into. But nonetheless, you need to get into those things when you're informed. All right. One last thing that I'd like to leave us with as a parting shot is, are you really just curious or are you taking these things to help you? Because I can tell you for sure, the success in your personal finance journey is really 20% what you know and 80% what you practice. So even as you watch these things, I hope you're practicing so that when we are taking stock at come year end, you'll actually see whether these things work for you or they didn't. All right. So as a parting shot, don't just sit there, do something.
Hatuna option. Hatuna option hata kidogo. Na hiyo pesa lazima tuichukue. Ama unataka hiyo pesa iende hivyo?